The Lollapalooza Music Festival kicking off next week, and here on Off Duty, we are headed back to summer school in music ed. This week, a crash course in professional DJing. It is not as easy as it looks, and 3 groundbreaking guitars selling for more than $20,000 a piece. One is made from a BMW engine. Plus, hear from the son of Beatles guitarist George Harrison, Dhani, on why he named his newest album The Fear of Missing Out. And so I don't miss out on anything, we're bringing in our pop and rock critic Jim Fusilli right here beside me to co-host the show. A lot of big DJ names, they're gonna be at Lollapalooza. They're also becoming producers in their own right. Why the shift?
Well, turntablism, the craft, the art of using 2 turntables and scratching and mixing and matching sounds, is sort of given way to technology now. You can achieve that in the studio, bring your laptop and hit a button. And also some of these DJs who produce are now creating tracks for big name singers.
It is not as easy as it looks. We got a lesson down at the Scratch DJ Academy in Manhattan. Let's check out and see just how well I did. We're at Scratch DJ Academy in downtown Manhattan, where Tim Martello, a DJ for how many years?
19 years.
What's your DJ name? It can't be Martello.
My DJ name's Tim Martell, and I use Martell because my grandfather was a horse trainer and used Martell as a stage name, so out of respect to him, I use Martell as my DJ name.
And you're gonna try and make me into a DJ today.
We are gonna make you into a DJ
Did
today.
you come up with a name? I have to have a name.
I think DJ Out of Bounds kind of flows.
All right, we can work with that. We can work with it, and I probably will be out of bounds with what I'm doing. Let's talk about DJing in general. I mean, just the growth is huge of people wanting to do this. What are sort of the 3 basic components to being a really good DJ?
Well, you have your technical skill, which would be really your hand record control, which involves scratching. You also have track selection.
Just picking the right songs and knowing
Absolutely.
what comes next. Nothing's worse than when you're at a wedding and there's like a great song going, then it just, whoa, they take you down.
Right, and that kind of leads into the third one, which is really your ability to transition, and your transitions going from one song into another.
You co-founded in 2002 Scratch Music Group with the late Jam Master Jay of Run DMC. You were one teaching academy then. You're huge now. How many prongs to this empire are there?
So we're in New York, Miami, LA. We're on 9 cruise ships and 4 Caribbean resorts.
You still teach at the academies.
That's right.
But you also do huge sort of corporate events.
That's right.
As well as you have DJs who will do weddings. What draws people to being a DJ over, say, like just taking up the guitar or taking up the piano?
I think DJs are aspirational role models in our culture. I think they are, well, I know they're generally at the, kind of the apex of their peer circles. So they're trend setters, they're trend observers, they're problem solvers, they're creative. They're just cool people. And everyone kind of wants to know the DJ, be the DJ, and I'm the same.
All right, so you first met Jam Master Jay when you were 12 years old?
That's
How
right.
did that happen?
Well, I was actually on my way to San Diego to play in a tennis tournament, and Run DMC was on their way to San Diego to perform. We were on the same plane, and he was kind enough to sit next to me on the plane and take pictures with me at the airport.
But you saved this, and then many years later, this came back to basically help you link up with him for this business.
That's exactly right. The first time I re-met him was in the green room of the Letterman show. And I pitched him the business idea, and I said, you know what, Jay, this is not the first time we met.
It's a great shot. Good thing you kept it.
I love it. I love my puka beads and my Sony Walkman.
Yeah, it's hot. Time for my lesson, time to live up to DJ Out of Bounds. All right, let's start with scratching.
Okay. The key scratches that you would learn are the baby scratch, drag, and scribble.
Okay.
The baby scratch, the way it is you keep your hand at 9 o'clock, and what you'll do is you'll go forward with the record, maybe to like 10, and then back to 9. So you want that turntable to keep on spinning because that's where we're going to get our friction from. And you're also doing something that's important is you're keeping your hand flat because you don't want to use your fingers. When you get to more advanced hand movements, you're always going to want to have more control out of your elbow, shoulder, and wrist and not your fingers.
Sorry, I didn't hear a word you just said. I was too busy with my scratching. I'm just kidding.
Drag scratch, it's exactly like it sounds. You're actually dragging out the sound that's on the record. Still keeping my hand flat. Good, exactly. And then the opposite of the drag is a scribble. You're gonna do that rapidly. Lift up my hand a little bit to give it a little bit of leverage. so it's easier to go back
Kind of like
and
scrubbing
forth.
your bathtub.
That baby scratch hand movement is our way to keep in tempo and release the record or drop that one.
Keeping tempo with the song, the current song that's playing.
Correct.
So it's basically so you don't have that big jolt between like someone stops one song and then it's a cold start into a next song.
Exactly.
The artistry of DJing is so that it's seamless, so you never have to stop moving on the dance floor.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's
And then release.
And then release.
Right.
Or drop.
Drop.
Right. Drop.
Let's use the right lingo. Drop.
Got fancy.
What are my odds of becoming a DJ?
If you put in time and practice, it can come pretty quickly.
It could come. Now, Jim, what amazed me was that DJing was a lot like playing an instrument. You had to have a good sense of rhythm and hand and eye control. You play the guitar, right?
Right.
Now, what have you got at home?
I've got a ES335, a Gibson ES335, and a couple of Takaminis.
How long have you been playing?
Oh gosh, I hate to say.
You hate to say. Well, you would have loved these guitars we checked out at Rudy's Music across the street here in Manhattan, including the Gibson. They've got really groundbreaking. All of them are over $20,000. You got to start saving up.
I'm so jealous.
All right, I'll show them to you. Sounds pretty good, Rudy. And I don't think it's just because that guitar costs
No.
$25,000 either.
No, it's definitely the guitar. not so much-
Groundbreaking guitar. You're going to show us more of this. But this is Rudy Pensa. This is the owner of Rudy's Music.
are you?
We're here on Music Row, 48th Street in Manhattan.
Absolutely.
You've got 3 groundbreaking guitars you're going to show us. We'll get to those in just a moment. But
Absolutely.
you and your wife have a great story of how you got here. How did that happen?
Well, first I got here from Argentina in the early 70s, mid 70s actually, 74. I remember since I was a kid, I wanted to come to 48. It was where the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, everybody bought all the instruments. Finally, the dream came true. I love the city so much. I asked for the job, he gave it to me. Later on, I met Francesca, my wife, and together we started Rudy's in 1978.
And you're still here.
I'm still here and I want to be here forever.
And you have some really special guitars throughout your store, but you've got 3 you're going to show us. This
Yeah.
first one is a Gibson, what, 1961? Tell us about it.
1961, as you can see the name Les Paul right here, and the late Les Paul actually designed this instrument.
And it's on sale for now for $25,000.
$25,000.
Who's the type of person who's going to buy a guitar like this? Is it a collector? Is it someone who's actually going to play it? What's the thing that you think will attract them the most to this particular one?
Very important that the guitar is original. This particular guitar is 100% original. The machines, the pickups, the vibrola, this is a tremolo. How original the guitar attracts a lot of people, especially collectors.
Crystal collectors. All right, this one's all original, but the next one you're going to show us many different pieces to that one.
Many pieces.
I'm back in the 80s. Back in the 80s. So
Absolutely.
what you're holding in your lap is a guitar, but it's from a part of a car, a BMW.
From a manifold, actually, in the engine of the car. You picture, this is the motor, the carburetor goes here. Over here, is a manifold. It's an amazing. These guitars, AM guitars, they are made of stuff that was already not being used.
So it's recycled parts.
Recycle parts, everything. This is a BMW. I have a vacuum cleaner. I have a G street light. I have a golf cart. I mean,
all those parts have been made into guitars.
This guy is absolutely a genius.
AM guitar.
AM
Now
guitars.
this, what kind of wood is this? Black walnut?
This is black walnut with a little piece of ebony in the middle. Very comfortable to play. It's absolutely amazing.
And each of these is one of a kind, obviously.
Absolutely. It's only 2 of these.
$20,000 for this one.
Yes.
Are
Great.
there musicians out there playing these professionally now?
It's a band called Sugarland,
Sure.
and they saw a guitar in Soho. They asked me to put in the cover album, and it's a one with the 4 carburetors.
Right. In terms of the stars you've sold guitars to or that you've met throughout the years, who
Yes.
are they?
Oh my God! You have an hour?
Give us the highlights.
Well, I mean, Martin Knopfler from Dire Straits, a dear friend of mine. I know Carlos Santana very well.
It's an incredible
And
history. Who would have known?
Think about it. I was a musician from Argentina. Be around all these guys. I was in heaven constantly. I mean.
But the person who buys this guitar, again, $20,000, made by AM, there's nothing like it. This is the person who wants to have the most unique thing that nobody else can get.
One of a kind. One of a kind.
Such sweet music above the fray of Manhattan. Now, I think if you're looking for an acoustic guitar, you're not going to find one more beautiful than this. This is a concert hall guitar?
Yeah, it's considered a classical guitar. Basically, in America, when you say an acoustic, it's a steel strings. And when you say classical guitar, it's nylon strings. It's called a double tap, double back. It has double wood cedar inside, and it has Brazilian rosewood. It's absolutely stunning. This wood doesn't exist anymore. The wood I know is about 100 years old.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's when you're playing, you are not really touching the body. You
right,
see the separation.
There's two parts here,
exactly.
Right?
It's the back of the guitar, and then they have the second back. What happens is when I'm playing, nothing is touching the guitar.
So it has to absolutely project.
Yes.
And this guitar goes for around 20,000, 25,000?
20, 25. Basically, that was the price some years ago. I think if you're thinking about right now, which this particular wood is non-existent right now, I think this guitar probably is going to go for maybe 35,000.
Now, I hear you wrote a love song to a particular woman on this guitar, but it was not your wife. And the song is for the guitar.
It's for the guitar, absolutely.
That's your other woman, just to be sure, just to be clear, everybody. All right, let's hear that.
I was looking for you. I think I found you today. I will take you home.
Now, speaking of famous guitarist Jim, Rudy has actually met the late George Harrison of the Beatles, and now Harrison's son Dhani is striking out on his own with his collective, The New Number 2. How hard is it for kids in the music industry to get away from very famous parents?
Well, I think it's quite difficult. I mean, you just don't see a lot of offspring of famous rock stars who are equally famous. Rufus Wainwright comes to mind. You know, Zach Starkey, who's Ringo's son, is a great drummer. But I think it's very difficult.
And he said in this interview we're going to listen to now, he basically said, this is the family business. In some ways, he felt like a plumber or like a doctor. He almost had no choice but to go into the family business. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I've been waiting so long just to know if you made it home.
Welcome to Off Duty. I'm Wendy Bounds. Both of our guests have fathers who left a lasting impact on the music industry. Dhani Harrison is the son of Beatles member George Harrison, his longtime childhood friend Paul Hicks, the son of Holly's Tony Hicks. But both have struck out to chart their own course in music, and they're having real success with their collaborative, The New Number 2. They are joining us now from Los Angeles. Hi, guys. Now, I love the waving, number one, and I love the backstory of how you came up with the title of your new album, which is debuting next week. It's called The Fear of Missing Out. Where did that come from?
Well, it was sort of an interesting concept. I mean, I think on the internet, people have been writing about it for a long time. It's just a sort of everyday thing that drives us all, really, and the social media networking, everything from, you know, all social media sites to video conferencing, to everything, you know, people suffering from the fear of missing out. We happened to come across it on a menu in a restaurant, I think it was in Atlanta somewhere, and it just said, if you suffer from the fear of missing out, please order the combination platter. And I just thought that was really funny because everyone, you know, is sort of suffering from this. Even us now, I'm having I can't see you FOMO. You see, you can see us, but I can't see you. So I'm having. What do you look like FOMO? I'm wondering.
Know what we look like.
You're missing out. I'm going to leave it to your imagination. You'll have to watch later to figure it out. Did you order that platter? I'm just wondering. Did you order the big sample platter?
No.
You did not. All right. You didn't fear you were missing out that much. You guys are Starbucks Pick of the Week next week. I think you have a Conan O'Brien appearance brewing. You're going to perform at Lollapalooza, the music festival, Friday, August 3rd. Now, this is a really eclectic sound, though. Blues, reggae, electronica. I think you've even sampled some stuff out there, like this YouTube video of the Cat Massage Lady song.
Who's the best cat in the United States? It's you, Champer Damper. It's you. Who's the best cat? Who's the best cat?
Eventually, you know, you've seen enough TV and movies and adverts and things, and internet clips where there is kind of a funny internet reference or, you know, pop reference to everything. And sometimes they just kind of regurgitate themselves. And especially when you're working with, you know, a bunch of people in the studio, everyone has these, you know, this really little pop references that just turn up. Also, you know, just so much influence from bands of like hip hop bands and samples, and you know, it's sort of our little take on it, really.
Now, you guys have known each other, I think, since you were 11 years old. Paul, how did you two meet?
Via some friends and relatives, we became friends, didn't we? Really, and just we lived in the same town by absolute coincidence.
We live across the street from each other. Our parents still live next to each other, so
we just
works
like
pretty easy.
Both only children.
He was at Abbey Road and worked there for such a long time that he ended up doing little bits of, you know, work here and there with my old man. And I think it was really good because my old man loved having Paul around because, you know, he knew when he was working that it was someone that was a family friend and it was safe, and, you know, because there's a lot of, you know, trust involved with, you know, engineering and masters and things like that.
Back to this concept of your album, the fear of missing out. Did it ever apply to you when it came to music, to either of you, having had dads who, you know, left such an impact in the industry?
With all the sort of kids of people like that, it's like, you know, you since you're born, you're surrounded by music, well, in our case, and, you know, and I think you just, whatever you grow up with just is just a big part of your life. And it's like, as much as you sometimes try and do other things, it just happens.
In the music industry, there's always sort of a essence of like living up to it, and it's like it becomes more of a big thing. But I mean, if you look at acting, so many actors and actresses are the daughters and sons.
Butchers, electricians.
Yeah, butchers, electricians, plumbers, you know, policemen, firemen. They're all doing the family business. Both of our dads made records. I mean, I lived with a studio in my house. So, I mean, it was kind of, and my dad never had an engineer, so it was always like, here, you just stand there and press record, and and then eventually you'd be there 3 hours later going, can I go to bed now, you know? I have to do some more drop-ins on the tape machine.
Last quick question, guys. What's with all the lowercase letters strung together for the name of your band? How did you come up with that?
Back in 2001, I think I registered the domain name, and then I realized, well, you can't have the new number .to.com,
right.
And then I realized that everything is going towards the sort of domain names, or hashtags hadn't been invented in those days, but I could see where it was going. So I figured the sooner that you just put everything in lowercase, all in one word, the easier it will be for people to understand in the future.
Jim Danny and his cohorts will be at Lollapalooza on Friday, August 3rd. What are 3 other must-see music festivals you recommend for us?
You know, there's so many. Outside Lands in San Francisco, you have, it's a big festival. You have headliners are Neil Young, Metallica, and Stevie Wonder. Wow. The Americana Music Festival in Nashville, which is a sort of axis of folk, country, and rock. And then Electric Zoo in Brooklyn, which is the next big electronic dance music festival.
Excellent. You've been a good co-host here, too. Tell you what, let's exchange. You give me guitar lessons, and I'll give you a little scratching DJ lessons. Is that a deal?
It's a deal.
All right, Jim Facili, thanks for being with us, and we'll see you guys next week on Off Duty. Have a good weekend.